Okay, good day. Thank you for joining me. This is a presentation I had for my review committee for my second year of grad school. Uh, so yeah, I would appreciate any feedback you may have for me. You can leave it in the comments below. Email me, message me, find me on Facebook, Instagram, DocFitsArt, or fitzy at ku.edu. Anyway, so this image, I took this image in 2010, and this is Wardak province of Afghanistan. My tent was the second from the last on that end there. As you can see, the things that you need to notice about this is the age of all of these barriers, the modularity, the repetition, the textures really of what we're seeing. The building and the kind of things that went up with urgency, but then intended to be temporary, but now seem almost permanent. So hopefully you can see a little bit of that in barriers stacked. So something else somebody told me, these barriers that are behind the tent and along the wall are called HESCO barriers. They're very simple wire baskets lined with fabric and then filled with dirt. And somebody told me it takes 18 inches to stop a bullet. So with that in my mind, I started building these cubes, these 18-inch cubes, and trying to create kind of a sense of the fear, the paranoia that you may have in combat, or this like kind of reassurance that you can feel from barriers while understanding that they can be completely intimidating to most of the people that see them. They are frightening objects for many, many people. And they also hold a lot of significance to those that the barriers are designed to protect against. So when I created this, the things that I kept thinking about was the kind of urgency of craftsmanship, the wood being part of like all the interior structures of combat installations are done with like raw wood because they were thrown up hastily, and they were also thrown up by people that had no idea on how to actually build a house. They weren't contractors. They were 18 to 19-year-old boys putting it up. So as I started working through this series, that idea that the 18-inch barrier, you needed that to stop a bullet, just didn't sit right. Because I knew and had seen many instances where less material, less sand had stopped a bullet, let alone really needing 18 inches. But what dawned on me is one morning, like 5:30 in the morning, I woke up and like a bolt of lightning had hit me, and it dawned on me that doesn't take 18 inches. It takes an 18-year-old to stop a bullet. So that really put kind of a fire under me to really start working hard on these. And it's become kind of a compulsion at times, at least. So this piece, this is part experiment, but also part finished work. So when I first installed this in the gallery at KU, it was a part like out in the middle, and so people could go walk all the way around it and see all views. But I really wanted to see what would happen when it was placed up against a wall, especially because when I first put the object into the gallery, I noticed the light and the shadows that came through onto the wall, and I was like, this is something I got to play with. So here I really wanted to place it up near the wall, see what the shadows are going to do. Also, the orientation here, I really wanted something that was anthropomorphized. So that the box on top I saw just like as this head, as this eye. So as you came into the gallery, you did kind of feel like this imposing figure that was watching you. This is like almost a century. But yeah, so this was the first box that I made. It did it also very furiously, or I should say quickly. I had a studio visit, and then this came to be almost that night. I cut up the wood, drew it out, and I knew that there was going to be some sort of like whirlpool or like sucking action happening with the movement. Uh, then I really wanted to create another organic form where I'm. This is not like like this isn't really at the top of the list of conversations I want to have, but I do want to have these organic forms made out of machined material next to machined organic material. I thought, that's just kind of an interesting idea to me. So I did this piece, but when I did it, it was upside down from the view you see now. What I quickly found out when I flipped it back over was how much tension and pressure is actually in these objects. So they average about 500 feet of barbed wire per box. And when I flipped this back over, one of the planks that this was pushing, one of the top planks actually got pushed out. It had 6 nails in it, and it was popped out just from the tension and the pressure that had been building up as I placed everything in. Because not much glue is being used. Here in this box, I did start using a little bit of epoxy. So I start out, like you can see on the left side, I start out with this this net of barbed wire. And that one I do epoxy in. But then the rest are placed in there. Each one is individually treated and considered. And it's quite amazing. Like sometimes it takes 2 or 3 different wires that I have to try before I can actually get it into position. But when it gets done, it's like when it finds its home, it like automatically seats. It's like kind of a rope that instantly loses all of its slack and is now taut, and it's just not moving. It's really very interesting to me, especially like this very ordered process. There's a very specific way that they need to go in. There's a very specific pattern that I have to drill, and the holes I need to create to develop this pattern. And on one side, it's very ordered and very methodical, but on the other side, like that's what you see on the right, but on the left, it's just complete chaos pushing through to the other side. Something that really blew me away when this came in there was this shadow, and I still can't quite understand it because there's no reason that the shadows shouldn't be overlapping the lights. So this is something I definitely want to experiment with in the future, but not quite important for this iteration. So this box is when this is when it really became a compulsion and something I just couldn't not do. I was still am obsessed with doing these, with making this pattern. So this one, I don't think it's, I'm working very intuitively about what the box should be, where the pattern should go, but I don't think it's coincidental that the week that this came together was also the week I came out as a queer man. And it came out looking like there was an explosion in the dead center of it and just pushing everything out. And it was really exciting once it was done. So this object, Experiment 0, so I have 2 lines that I'm chasing down right now. One is the large-scale works that do have these constraints of 18 inches, and they're going to be working with creating large-scale barriers with these small modular units. But this, my experiment series, this is where I kind of leave that all behind and just play with what the material does and how I can manipulate it. Experiment 0 was talked about most in one of my studio visits, which actually led to the boxes. I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to do 18-inch cubes based off of this tiny study. And now what I'm finding is different ways to play with the wood, different ways to manipulate the wire. I'm really enjoy this one as I incorporated the natural edge of a board and of the live edge. And then this one, this kind of like Frankenstein box experiment too. It was I needed to see what would happen when we burned the wood. Which is how I think I'm going to finish the rest of these pieces. No more stain, it's just going to be all burning. Now for my graduate second year review, I saw it as, I needed to prove I am thinking about a cohesive show and that I'm planning already a thesis exhibition. So this is a sketch to be placed into one of this, we call it the high side of the KU Art and Design Library, or Art and Design Gallery. So I came up with these several different iterations of these tall towers and cubes. So the first one is just pure open compositions with wires and to see what happens with that. Pure tunnel compositions, a completely closed composition, a solid wood one, and one that's made out of sandbags and like a custom HESCO basket. And then the sixth one, I wasn't quite sure what I could put there, but after discussions with some of my advisors, I think I want to have just like a purely just a skeleton rather than anything inside of it. And the more of these that are created, I will be able to leave empty boxes because that will mean something in relationship to the rest of the work. But I'm also thinking of things like mix and matching these, so several open with one closed, or one open with several closed. But all of them will be kind of this tower figure, or they could even be like a solid wall of them. But yeah, only time will tell. But I'm really excited about the possibilities of where I can go with this. I do want to branch out from wood and barbed wire and start working with some other materials that I saw and where it was kind of ubiquitous within a combat zone, like concrete. Giant concrete barriers were everywhere. So I want to create this concrete form and then bust out the center of it physically. So it'll be kind of part performance, part object. And then this one is something I've just really been excited about doing. I really just want to create a massive custom HESCO so you could actually kind of feel the weight of the object. It will end up failing. It will be this, just gigantic, imposing mass. So that's really exciting to me. And yeah, that's when I ended and opened up the floor for questions. So if you guys have any, please email me, leave a comment below, text me, call me. Yeah, 913-601-1830, or go to Doc Fitzy, DOCFITZY, on Instagram, or email me at Fitzy, FITZY, at ku.edu. Thank you for your time.